Once there was a snail who was approaching an intersection.
I don't see any cops around. I might as well roll this stop sign. Fuck yeah!
The thing you just saw is a comic strip from my latest comic. I'll put the link in the description, so go ahead and download it and read it right now. What's interesting about it is that every comic strip in this collection is an exquisite corpse. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, an exquisite corpse is a creative exercise that was developed in the 1930s by a collection of French assholes. You see, these people would sit around and they would take turns creating pieces of a story or pieces of a drawing that together would create this sort of randomized collaborative piece of artwork. Well, in the last couple of months, I've been creating exquisite corpse comics with my friends. Here's how it works. We each draw one panel, and then we take each of our sketchbooks and we pass it to the person next to us. That guy then has to look at that panel and come up with the second panel in that story and hope that it makes sense. After you do that 4 times, you have 4 different comic strips, each one written by 4 different people. And most of these turn out to be absolute garbage. But some of them strike a very interesting emerging concept that you probably wouldn't have come up with had you just written it on your own. I've picked my 14 favorite comics and I've lovingly redrawn them all. So feel free to stop watching this video right now and just go read it. And if you would care to continue to watch this video, the next segment is a tutorial. It's called How to Write a Fucking Joke. Of course, I recommend that you write comics with your friends. But pro tip, it helps if you all agree on a very specific story structure. That way, when you hand off your comic, someone can pick up where you left off and they know what plot point they're at. Of course, you can do some very experimental non sequiturs, but what my friends and I usually write are the basic 4-panel formula that's used in Calvin and Hobbes. Panel 1, basic context, introduce a character. Panel 2, the character has a goal. He wants to achieve something. Panel 3, the character tries to accomplish that goal and possibly fails. And then panel 4 is the return to equilibrium. The conflict has been resolved and we're left with the character having come full circle and coming to terms with what just happened. Usually there's a shitty one-liner at this point. Like, ah, gee whiz, I can't believe that just happened. So, check this shit out. You got a knight. The knight wants to pull a sword out of a stone. He can't do it, and he strains so hard that he farts. This is the first flipping of your expectations. So this counts as a small gag. But this is not the punchline. The punchline comes when our expectations are flipped a second time, and we realize that the knight never needed to pull the sword out of the stone. He just needed to produce a magical fart that the townspeople would recognize to be the fart of a king. I don't like fart jokes, but it's a solid comic, it's textbook. This is how you create a comic strip. You might be thinking, well, don't you just need 2 panels? I mean, all you need is the sword and the fart. Isn't that the joke? No. Okay? Because you need everything to come full circle to create the arc. If you're confused about the difference between the 3rd and 4th panel, I highly recommend that you check out 3nuts.com, which is a collection of peanut strips where the last panel has been removed. So all you're left with is this very dramatic build-up with no resolution. Usually it's Lucy berating someone because she's a cunt. And then you don't get that pithy one-liner where someone diffuses the tension and says, ah, gee whiz, Lucy. Oh, good grief. Without that last panel, you're left with the shallow gag, the build-up gag, which in the case of Charles Schulz is usually a very dark existential joke. Anyways, for those of you who are interested, I am still working on my very serious magnum opus of a graphic novel that deals with the human condition and is just going to be fucking amazing. But I'm stuck on that for now, so in the meantime, I've been drawing comics with fart jokes in them.